Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be looking over the new scoring system that SuperCoach has adopted for this upcoming season. So firstly, what has changed? Since its inception, SuperCoach has used Fox Sports stats to score the players in the game. And for any footy nerds out there, you'd probably notice that these stats often didn't align with the stats on NRL.com. And this is where the big change comes in. SuperCoach will now be using the same stats provider as NRL.com, which is a far more black and white scoring system. Fox Sports would often use nuance and some footy IQ to give stats such as try assists and line break assists. This meant having to understand things like sweep plays, overlaps, identifying important passes in plays, and so on. And as you can guess, it was very inconsistent. Some weeks player X would get the points, similar play the next week, player Y would get the points. And need I remind you of the dreaded Monday morning, or more commonly, Monday afternoon updates. It often costs you your head-to-head match. Thankfully, this is no more, however, with the stats provider now changing. So does the scoring for SuperCoach. So what does this mean? Let's dive into it. Try assists will now be awarded to the player who provides the last pass prior to the try being scored. This was previously given to the player who had created the overlap earlier in the play or created the space for the outside men. The big winners from this are your centres across the league. Those little tip-ons and catch and pass players are now worth their weight in gold. Notable beneficiaries of this are your Valentine Holmes and Herbie Farnworth, who were only given 4 try assists last season under the SuperCoach scoring, but were awarded 9 under the NRL scoring. Almost double, or more than double, the try assists on one stats compared to the other. The losers of this, however, are your halfbacks and fullbacks. Notably, someone like Scott Drinkwater was awarded 30 try assists last season under the Fox Sports stats, but only 24 in the NRL stats. Now, nothing crazy stats-wise, but when every point matters, it could be very important. Tackles will now be changing too, with Fox Sports not traditionally counting tackles where a player is a third man in on their tally. This is all about to change with the third man in now counted towards a player's tackle stats. Your big winners here are your hookers and middle forwards who may come in late in the play and try and slow the play level down. Traditionally, these weren't counted, but now they will be counted. So you can sort of give a bump of 4 to 5, maybe even 6 tackles per game for some players, such as your Harry Grants and your Isaiahs and those types. Example of this would be Terrell May. Last season was credited with 917 tackles in Fox Sports, whereas his NRL tally was 1,023 tackles. That's a whopping 106 tackle difference. Over the season, that equates to 4.4 points per game last season for Terrell May. This would mean, in theory, Terrell May would be underpriced. Maybe. With these scoring changes, there are now plenty of players both undervalued and overvalued based on their prices to start the season. Someone like Isaiah, for example, is priced at $610,100 to start this season. But based on NRL stats last season, he should be priced at around $691,000. There's an easy $81,000 worth of value there without his output having to change. To fully grasp the concept of the new scoring changes, I would suggest you keep an eye on Fox Sports stats during the upcoming trials and how players are now accumulating stats through these games. Obviously, trials will be taken with a grain of salt. However, they are a first real indication of what scoring may look like under the new system. I hope this has cleared up some of the confusion that has been sort of circulating in the last few days around the stats changes. I personally don't think these stats will change the game drastically. Good players are still good players, and if you have a good feeling about someone, I'd still be jumping on them. They could very well overcome any stat hindrances and score very well. So that's sort of in a nutshell. Try assists have changed, line break assists have changed, tackles have changed. Now the run scoring, we're still not 100% sure on how that's going to be scored, so we'll sort of keep an eye on that through the trials. But your big winners there are your centres, which are your Valentine Holmes, your Herbie Farnworths. We haven't got stats on him of recent seasons, but even your Trell Mitchells in the centre, often last pass to the winger. And I imagine him playing left centre now with AJ there. Could be plenty of try assists there. So please be sure to drop any questions you have in the comments. Make sure to please subscribe and like. It really helps the channel. And just enjoy footy being back this weekend. I'll see you all in the next video.